Welcome back to Azure Terraformer. I often attend my local Coffee and Code meetup in Columbus, Ohio, as a way of giving back to the community. You see, this group has a lot of folks that are either just finishing up college or early on in their career, and they're looking to network, find mentors, and potentially find jobs. So I go as a way to kind of share my 25 years of experience as a software developer, as an architect, working across industries and building lots of cool stuff and being put in lots of weird situations. So whether it's technical skills or soft skills, hopefully some of the lessons learned that I've had over the last 25 years don't have to be repeated. I often get into quite lively design sessions where somebody is curious about the architectural approach or their solution that they're building, and they want my input on maybe a different approach that they could take. And this is an excerpt from a live stream that I did where I talked about a conversation I had with just such a person. It's a POC that they're looking to scale up. They built it on AWS using Lambda and ALB, but they also have a big component that sits on-prem. Anyways, I digress. You'll hear all about it. Let's cut to the excerpt and you can hear the whole story. Anyways, I met, I think it's Tejas. I really apologize if I mispronounce that name, but it's either Tejas or Tejas. Really smart guy. He's doing C#.net and more. It sounded like he wasn't super happy with it. So maybe he's doing like more maintenance work or more like vanilla kind of maybe 10, 15 years dated kind of client server dev or web dev. He's kind of interested in like how he could accelerate his career. And he told me about, a little POC that he's working on with his buddy using AWS, Lambda, ALB. And, we talked through that architecture and that was a lot of fun. It was kind of fun just hearing the use case and, how they currently design the POC. Excuse me. And, how it's currently set up for a single user with a single profile and how they, had some processing agent. I won't go into the business case aspect of it, but how it processes, how there's a processor that like processes data that gets loaded in kind of live from some other place. And then they have this processor that it chunks it up and they're like, well, we got the data ingestion built with ALB and Lambda, and it's kind of like going out and grabbing the data, populating it in a time series database. But we have this like business logic that runs. And we really don't think we can run that in Lambda because reasons, like basically the way it's currently designed, it's a batch process and it's designed to work over a very large, scale set of data set. And due to the nature of the design, they kind of had this horse blinders syndrome, which we've all been there, right? I've been there many times. And, it's like, well, this is the way we designed it. Like what is the right hosting target on the cloud? And due to the design decisions that they already made that are kind of built into their assumption matrix, they're like, well, it really can only run on an EC2 instance because it's a really long running process. We like Lambda because they're cool, but we have to run it on an EC2 instance. And they didn't really think about like, well, why? That's inherent in our design. If we rethink our design, which fundamentally starts with the unit of work, what is the unit of work that this business logic agent or whatever is going to be processing on? Is it the entire universe, or is it an individual user profile, or is it an individual piece of recommendation set? Their business logic makes recommendations. Is it an individual recommendation that they want to generate? And so I walked them through like, okay, if you can break down that unit of work and parallelize it, then you maybe don't need this master control, this monolithic master control program that's super long running that has to process the universe, has to boil the ocean, right? And if you can, the deeper you split that up, the smaller you split that up, the more horizontally scalable you're going to be able to get, and the more options you have in terms of hosting. And maybe you could get it back into an individual Lambda and you just spin up a Lambda that's event-based that you kind of, queue these up together where you kind of fan out the individual, like, okay, maybe at a certain time of day, we process these users and, we detect, there's a service that detects if we need to make recommendations for a particular user within a particular context. And every time we decide we want to make a recommendation, we spawn a new message and that fans out from there. And then you're really kind of taking this huge boulder and breaking it down into smaller rocks, into pebbles, and then into sand, little bits of sand. And then those bits of sand can then be processed kind of independently by smaller little services like maybe Lambda function or something like that. So that was fun, kind of working through that with him. It's a good time. Anyways, I hope you found that useful. It was a lot of fun talking to Tejas about his little solution, about his POC, and how to take a solution that's currently designed to vertically scale and turn it into a distributed system. I find that a lot of fun in the work that I do. That's one of the most fulfilling things about designing software, is all of the different aspects and constraints to consider and the plethora of different options and strategies that you can employ to achieve the desired outcome. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you really like this content, please smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a lot. Anyways, that's it from me. This is the Azure Terraformer, signing off.